This is part 4 of my layoff protocol. I hope you enjoy. Okay, I thought I might do this segment facing away from me because you've just been staring at my wonderful face for a while. Get some better views of the scenery. Really is kind of its own form of beauty out here. But anyway, so wanted to talk about the desert or the wilderness now, like I touched on earlier. Let's talk about getting out of the prison. So I think there's some different components to that. You gotta be able to dream and have something that excites you, kind of like we talked about, because that's going to be giving you a clear idea of what do you want, and then even why do you want it, and that's going to give you a reason to get out of the prison. Not to just stay in the 9-to-5 that you hate or go back to one that you hate. If you have a strong enough what and a strong enough why, and a lot of these concepts I've read from people, Stephen Covey, Tony Robbins, David Goggins, Jordan Peterson, a lot of people like this and these people have all helped a lot of people. If you have these things, this want and this why, and even a don't want, know what you don't want too, something to go away from, and then the want is something to go towards. That's like the start. That's like the energy, even, just the basic drive. Gonna start running again. The basic drive to even do anything about it. And I think probably most adults don't even get to that point. They probably it seems like they're mostly just say, well, you just got to do the job, and I'll just live for the weekends if I can, evenings and weekends, and I'll party it up in hopes of numbing the pain or making life meaningful. And so I think that's where most people end up. Or maybe they can't even do that. So, maybe it's all just misery. But you have this same thing you want, this excitement. And that's kind of the promised land, like we talked about. It's this idea of a land flowing with milk and honey, like the Old Testament talks about. So it's like, what is that? Let me dream about that. Let me dare to dream about it. Let that excite me. And okay, now I have a want. I want to get out of the prison. Well, you got walls around you. You got to get through these things. And you've at least got the energy now, the will to do it. You just need some strategy, some tactics, and some tools. And my theory is that you have to deal with your beliefs. And when I say beliefs, what I mean is the ideas that you have about life and yourself that you may not even be aware you have. It's almost subconscious ideas a lot of the times. Like they say I've heard that and read that there's science that is starting to show, or studies are starting to show, the traumas of past generations can be passed down through the DNA. Like if you went through a time of extreme stress, like a famine or whatever, that can actually kind of carry down to the DNA of grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and so forth. And science is not really clear on how thoughts work, where they come from, how our thinking process is generated, where these thoughts start from. And if you start trying to listen to your inner voice, at least for me, and I know other people, you're probably going to hear stuff that you don't even know why you think it. And sometimes you might know why. Well, that's what my parents said or somebody said. But, you got to start just realizing, do I believe? What do I believe? Do I believe that I can get out of this prison? Do I believe that I'm worth getting out of this? My life is worth it getting out of here? Do I believe that... Now there's some pretty birds flying. Northern flickers right here. Probably couldn't see it on here, but anyway, things like that. I know I said I'd be concise, but there's just a lot of subpoints, and the whole idea is still very low resolution. I don't have it really refined yet, but I think that's good. I think that too often that's what stops us. We think, I got to get things perfected. I got to get things right. I got to get my stuff together perfectly before I can do anything. And I don't believe that. You got to take things at a low resolution, your ideas and so forth, and you got to just start moving and let the resolution come as you go, because you could end up waiting forever and overanalyzing everything and trying to perfect it and just never end up living. So anyway, sorry, this is all a bit rambly and low resolution, but you got to look at your beliefs. And look at what is an empowering belief and what is a disempowering belief, and list these things out, write them down, and then think of empowering beliefs that you could choose to take on. For example, with persistence and patience and discipline, I can accomplish anything I put my mind to eventually, given enough time. That's an empowering belief. A disempowering belief would be like, I'll never achieve X, or I'll never achieve Y, or it's ridiculous to dream about X or Y. And when you have these disempowering beliefs, you should come up with a counter belief that's opposite to that, that's empowering, and you should rehearse it and not just say it or think it, but feel it. This is a concept straight out of Tony Robbins' book, Awaken the Giant Within. But it's not like it's his idea. It's just something he discovered, And so this idea of feeling the belief, that's another dimension to the belief. And it's kind of the dimension where the rubber meets the road. You can say you believe something in your head, but if you don't feel it, I don't think you're going to execute it consistently and wholly. I think the value of your execution on those beliefs will be severely diminished. And I understand the idea of don't be a slave to your feelings. Yeah, that's true. Do what you believe in, even when you don't feel like it, but also take the reins of your feelings and decide to feel like it. You can decide to be happy. And that's a very unpopular thought right now because of, all the current culture surrounding mental illness. And I've been there. I've been diagnosed depressed, anxious, and even on medications, but I have been there, and medications don't do it. It's disciplined thought. And I don't want to go too much on this, but I'll just say, if you don't agree with me, look up a book called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. He was an Austrian psychiatrist that was a Jew during World War II who survived the death camps and lost his family to the death camps and was tortured and experimented on by the Nazis. And he discovered nothing that happens has any more meaning beyond what you give to it. And he was able to associate positive meaning to even being tortured in the middle of being tortured. So I'll leave that at that. That's an example of an empowering belief, a very stark example. My phone's about to die, so I'll have to continue this talk probably at home. Sorry about that. That was part 4 of my layoff protocol, and I will have part 5 up as soon as I can. Thanks.